Today on The Big Interview, we bring you the story of Professor Elsie Kaufmann. She was born on 7th September 1969. The narrative in the science and engineering fields, right here on The Big Interview.
Seeing who my guest for today is, let me clear my throat before I even start this interview. Now, there are people that when you're having conversations with, you ought to prepare yourself, because being a quiz mistress, me being a host of a television show, I cannot get it wrong. Good morning, Professor Elsie Kaufmann.
Good morning, Rosalind.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you again. Is the third time?
This is the third time we're doing something like this.
Right. Now, today's one is different because this is the big interview.
All right.
And on the big interview, we tell it all. We don't hold back. Yes. Like a quiz mistress, you actually tell them the problem of the day. Now, today we are about to solve the problem of the day.
Oh, dear. Maybe I should get up and run away.
The doors are locked. But welcome once again, Doc. And of course, a lot of people who watch you on NSMQ, that's the National Science and Maths Quiz, have always asked a question. I have asked you several times, but for those who don't know how you got into the NSMQ, tell us how it all happened.
Oh, well, I came to Ghana in 2001. I was appointed as a lecturer to the Department of Physics at the University of Ghana. And while there, I was going about my regular business, and those who know me know how passionate I am about my work. So I was teaching a lot of students, doing labs. I was actually in lab with students most of the time. And my head of department at the time, this was in 2005, was Professor Odrefriye. So I guess he saw something in me. And he happened to be the subject consultant for physics on the National Science and Math Quiz at the time. And so there was going to be a vacancy because the quiz mistress at the time was leaving to go do her PhD. So they were looking for someone. And he recommended that they ask me to do it, because I guess he had seen how I was carrying on with my activities in the department and felt I could do it. So that's how I got nominated to be quiz mistress.
Right.
And so the team approached me, and I remember recording was being held at Achimota School, and the quiz mistress at the time, now Dr. Ireka Adomakun, she invited me to go watch her doing it, and to see whether I would be interested in actually taking up the role. So I remember driving there, I watched one contest, and please recall that I did not know anything about this program. I don't usually watch TV, so I didn't know anything about it. So that was my first interaction, actually, to go see her do it. And afterwards, I spoke with her briefly, and I decided, okay, why not give it a try? I can do it. And that's how it began. So in 2005, that's when I was approached. And you know it takes a bit of time to prepare, so we're doing the preparations, and then finally I showed up on set for the first time.
How long
in
did
2006.
it take? How long did the preparation take before you showed up on stage?
About 8 months or so, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
To prepare you. Can we talk about the preparation process? Because somebody will think that it was just because you're a professor, because of your knowledge in the science and math, so it was quite easy for you to do it. What actually goes into the preparation?
Oh, it's not having to learn all those subjects afresh. Remember, yes, I was already in the sciences. I was already a lecturer in physics. And so that wasn't it. The preparation has to do with the questions. You know, there are 4 subject consultants: physics, chemistry, biology, and then mathematics. And then what the quiz mistress has to do is to meet with all of these subject consultants, listen and read every single question, make sure they are okay. In those days, what they used to do was give me a bunch of questions handwritten, and then I would have to sort them into the contests, right? And so the preparation had to do with basically having these meetings, we call them moderation meetings, with the subject consultants, making sure the questions are fine. I was comfortable with them, that I watched some of the videos, because remember, I was not watching the program. So I had to familiarize myself with the program, watch some videos of past contests, and then get myself ready to go sit there and be a quiz mistress.
Right.
Yes.
Now, some of us remember the day that you lost your bag as a memory for most people out there. Now, let me ask you your most memorable moment as a quiz mistress on the National Science and Maths quiz.
Every year, and it's interesting points. The thing about me is I usually don't even remember the details of a contest once I'm done with it.
Oh, right.
I clear my mind of everything because I'm looking forward to the next contest. So it's very difficult for me to remember specific things with regard to specific contests. What I enjoy, though, is that opportunity to interact with these young, bright students who have the whole world ahead of them and who are going to change our world, by the way. So that opportunity is always very exciting. Of course, there are certain things that will stand out, like the bag matter.
Which we never found.
No, but I'm over it. I'm over it. Or some of the contestants, you know, I try to chat with them a little bit before the contest.
Right.
And so when they tell me interesting things, and I remember, what was his name? Mr. Obeng. Telling me about the Egyptians.
Oh, the Egyptians.
that is memorable, isn't it?
Was it a staged thing?
No, it wasn't staged. What I do is I go around and I chat with the contestants. It's up to them to open up. Some of them really are resistant to talking to me because they are very focused on the contest. They consider me a nuisance when I'm trying to ask them questions that have nothing to do with the competition. And others are also very personable, you know, so we get to have good conversations. Yes.
Now, of course, I had to bring in the bag a little bit of that, you know, although you said you're over it. The valuables that were in the bag that you lost that day, what were they?
You know, it takes, up until recently when I started doing only the quarterfinals to the finals, I was actually on set basically for a month at a time. So everything that I need to be comfortable would be in that bag. So you can imagine that I had, of course, the questions for the day. Luckily, it was a final. And so I only had the final and then a few extra questions, you know, backup questions that I would use if I had to do a tie break, you know, things like that. I had those in there. I had my calculator. Very important, right?
Yes, very important.
I had my phone in there. I had a power bank. I had my pens, my fancy pens that I liked very much. I had the book I was reading at the time. I had my earrings in there because I changed earrings. So I had my earrings, my regular earrings in there. Things like this, personal items.
Which you were never able to read.
My glasses, you know, I had my regular glasses that I wore on set because I need glasses to read. And then I had my backup glasses. You see, I always have backup of everything. So my backup glasses were also in there. And that was a nightmare. And then my wallet, of course, with money.
How long did it take you to get over it?
I would say maybe a year.
Oh, wow.
Because people kept reminding me, like...
Definitely will remind you of it. But you got some gifts as well. People brought you bags and all.
Yes, actually, that showed me how much goodwill there was out there. Because, yes, so let me share what happened. Prime time, organizers of the program gave me a phone. They replaced my phone. Someone, Mr. Pra, all the way from Kumasi, came to see me at the Department of Biomedical Engineering, University of Ghana, to bring me a pair of earrings. That was really nice. And then, yes, on set, you know, someone gave me 2 bags. Yes, that was really, really nice. And then my class, my sister's classmates from Ebri Girls, They organized and got me the same bag. They ordered the same bag that I had.
Oh.
So I have a replacement bag. Yes.
Okay, so that helped in the getting of
It helped.
Right?
It helped.
Now, you've been a quiz mistress for so long, from 2005, you said.
Well, I was on stage first time 2006.
First time 2006. Till now, it's been quite a while. Has that influenced your teaching skills, you know, as compared to back then, before you became a quiz mistress?
Yes, in some ways, because my time on the program has shown me the kind of things that my students know when they meet me. And so I don't give them, I don't pretend that they don't know certain things. They are supposed to know so much. The problem with them really is that they've forgotten or they never understood the purpose of what they were studying, you know. So these concepts that they learned in high school, they come to university and it's as if they never saw these concepts before. But now I know because I have to keep it with them and I know what it is that they are taught before they get to me. And I try very hard to incorporate all of those things in the problem solving that I expect of my students. So I tell them the problems in the real world do not have a core school. So you are expected to remember all those concepts. Now you have to apply those concepts to solving real problems.
I'll still go back 2006 to 2023.
Yes.
No girls' school has won. You are a product of a girls' school, a Brie Girls Secondary School. Are you disappointed that no girls' school has won?
Yes. It makes me quite unhappy when I think about it because I don't think it's a matter of technical competence. The girls are really competent. They really can do it. In the beginning, I saw a certain pattern. The girls really were usually very reserved. Some were even afraid to get up. You know, when it got to problem of the day, they had to stand up to put their solution on the board. You would see them arguing with each other to figure out who would get up and go. That was the beginning. That was the beginning. So there was a certain lack of confidence that the young ladies had in those days, the early days. These days, I don't see so much of that. The whispering of right answers and yet not coming out with the answer. I don't see so much of that. However, what I have come to realize is that the girls schools do not take this competition as seriously as the boys' schools. Right. Because if they did, they would I would see them doing some of the things that the boys' schools or the mixed schools are doing. The schools that have consistently done well on this program, they have a pipeline of contestants. So they start their selection even before they get to that final year and they sit up there on stage. Many of them are final year students from high school. So they have the team in their first year, they have a team in the second year, they have a team final year. And all of these teams are sitting, you know, when the final year team is on stage, the other two teams or other teams are sitting in the crowd, calculating, getting themselves ready, making sure that they don't suffer from stage fright, all those things. And the girls' schools don't do this. Some of the schools select their final year students after their mock exams or the West African exams. And so by this point, it's too late, really, to make much of an impact. You may be technically good, but remember there's a game aspect to this that you need to master. And they usually don't have that.
But do they know this?
I have been talking to the ones who come and ask me. I don't impose myself on anyone. But
what
if
about
you
your
invite
alma
me,
mater, Ibri Girls?
What about them?
Yes, because of course, if you're from Ibri Girls and you've been the quiz mistress for this long, you should have interest in them winning soon. I wouldn't say one day, yes.
Don't you see that as a conflict of interest?
Is it?
Yes.
How is that a conflict of interest?
Just imagine, I always get accused of being partial anyway, even when I do my very best. When the schools are winning, I am supporting them. It's as if I'm magically sorting the questions and giving them the easier questions. Some people really believe this.
Okay.
And then when the schools are losing, it is my fault as quiz mistress. It's a very interesting dynamic, isn't it? Because, and I always tell myself that I must be doing something right, because if a school really thinks I'm their ally one year and their arch enemy the next year, then I must be doing something right? That means I'm trying really hard to be impartial. And it's the same with my own senior high school. Believe me, I don't know the contestants that come from there. Would you imagine what would happen if I were to now suddenly get up that I'm going to a Brighell Senior High School to go and teach so that my school, that's completely against the spirit of the whole competition. So I am completely impartial. I do not know the contestants from anywhere. I don't socialize with any of them before the competition. And when they come and do what they have to do, and I do what I have to do as impartially as possible.
Right. Now let's get a bit personal.
Yeah.
Getting to know that your father was a former headmaster for T.I. Ahmadiyya in Kumasi.
That's true.
Yes. And, see, he's an educationist. Will you say that also impacted you to go into that same line?
Yes, I come from a family of education people.
Which your child is an educationist as well.
Oh, yes. We are teachers. And so my mother was a trained teacher. At age 17, she was already teaching. My father also was in education, was a teacher as well. And yes, he rose all the way to become Western Region Director of Education. Yes.
Wow.
And so, yes, he was headmaster at T.I. Amas, the real Amas. What was it about him? He was an amazing person. He's now passed on, but he was an amazing person. He was disciplined. He was time conscious. Many of the character traits that I have, being purposeful, came from him, I think. Yes.
He was, what you answered, he was strict. He was
purposeful.
He
committed.
Committed.
Hardworking.
Now I'll take these
Time conscious.
Time conscious. Five attributes. Your father was a Muslim.
Yes.
You are not a Muslim. How did that happen? He is strict. How did it happen?
How did that happen? I would say my mother had good negotiation skills. Yes, my mother is Christian, and she agreed to marry him on certain terms. So I remember having this conversation with my mom to ask her how this happened, and what she told me was when she agreed to marry him, one of the conditions was that he would give her the freedom to take the children with her to church, Sunday school. We did all of those things, and that when we were old enough, we would choose for ourselves what we wanted to do. And so all of us, myself and my siblings, we went to Sunday school. We did all the Christian things. When it was time for the Muslim festivals, we were living in the same house, so we celebrated all of them.
Did you fast?
No. We didn't fast, but we celebrated after the fasting.
So at what age were you supposed to make the final decision?
Well, when we're old enough, that would be adulthood. I would guess 18 years or so. But by that time, we had all decided what we wanted to be.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 siblings.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
I'm the eldest.
You're okay? That's nice. So these are your siblings. Beautiful family. Your father, your mother. Yeah, I want to meet your mom one of these days.
Oh, she's an amazing person.
Marrying a strict Muslim and managing to convince the man, taking all your 4 children to church, it's strange.
Yes.
It hardly happens.
Yes, but we had respect for each other.
Really. Which is beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. You've risen to the top. It's not been an easy journey. I know. And I'm saying it's not been easy because I know that you're a single mother of 3.
Yes.
How did you do it?
When I reflect on what I have been through, sometimes I don't believe that it actually happened. However, I've been absolutely blessed in the children that I received. First of all, when I got married, my mom really was interested in having grandchildren. So I also went to an agreement with her. If I actually have these grandchildren, you're going to help me. And she has been a strong support over the years.
Wow.
The first two were born in the US. The first one, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't know anything about babies. Oh, goodness. I was a mess. I was a disaster. But my mom came. She was in the US when she was born, and she stayed for 6 months. That is how supportive she was. And then afterwards, I had to pick up. And by the way, I had my first daughter while I was still doing my PhD. I remember I had to take her with me to the lab because I had to finish up experiments and then start writing. So I would go to the lab with her during the day. At night, I was getting almost no sleep because I would put her to sleep, and then that's when I would sit down to write my thesis.
That's you and your children?
Yes, those are my children with me. Yes. So that was the eldest. The second one I had also while I was doing my postdoc. Not easy at all. Again, my mom was with me for a couple of months. It was not easy, but I had to do it. I didn't have much of a choice. And then the last one I had right here in Ghana, when I was a lecturer in the Department of Physics. And actually, that was a high-risk pregnancy. So I remember, yes, I remember he was born prematurely. He was born at 7 months. It's amazing.
Wow.
He was not expected to survive. But he did.
Oh, wow.
He's my little, like he's my miracle. Yes.
I've met the first. Where's she now? Because when you got in, I said, where's your daughter? She was your driver for a very long time.
Yes, that's actually the second one.
That's the second one.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, yes.
So where's she?
That's Davis. Actually, let me speak a little bit about each of them.
All right.
Maya is the eldest. Maya is in Ghana. She went to the United States for school.
So which one is Maya? Maya is
Yes, that's Maya, the first one.
All right.
That's Maya. And she now works for Where Ghana. She's their digital marketing executive. So if you see all the social media posts for Where Ghana, you know, that's her handiwork. I'm really proud of her. Yes, she studied psychology and she's been interested in all kinds of things, very creative. Yes.
And how old is Maya?
Maya is 26.
26.
Yes.
Okay.
And the next one is Davis. That's the one you know.
Right.
She loves driving. That's why she was driving me around everywhere. She learned how to drive, and then I had no control over my car. Yes. So that's Davis. Davis now is working with Lead for Ghana. She's been posted to Afiadangba. She's in the Volta region teaching math. Yes, she's doing amazing things there. I mean, if I tell you what sort of things Davis has been doing, you'll be surprised. So she went to this village and she's teaching mathematics to junior high school students. She has made math much more approachable, I would say. And I'm really proud of her for this. She actually gave opportunities to her students. You know, there was one student, for example, who said he was looking forward to becoming an electrician because he was a good science student in that school, but he couldn't think beyond that. And so I worked with Davis to arrange for them to visit me at the School of Engineering Sciences at the University of Ghana. They came as a team, and the headmistress came along, and they had an opportunity to see all the engineering things that we do. At the end of the visit, this young man said he wants to be a computer engineer.
Oh, that's nice.
And the others also who came, the classmates that came, they are all aspiring to do engineering or do something with their lives. I am so proud of the work that Davis is doing in the Volta region. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
And then our baby last?
The baby who looks bigger and taller than all of us. The baby is a University of Ghana student at the moment. His interest is computer science. He started learning how to program very young. He actually has a game on the Google Play Store.
Already?
Oh, yeah. That was his project during the COVID. When we're all stuck at home, he learned how to develop games, and he did that game. So, yes, so my children are amazing. So you ask, how did I do it? First of all, I'm blessed to have these children. Each of them is different in their own way. One other thing that I did with them was I tried to give them as much freedom as possible and make them as independent as possible. I tell them my objective for them is to make myself progressively redundant in their lives. And then hope that once I am completely redundant, they still choose to associate with me. And so that helps, because as I get more and more busy, I cannot be babysitting. But they understand, and they have learned that kind of independence to be able to survive even on their own. But if they need me, they know where to find me.
Wow.
Yes.
That's great. I mean,
Yes.
that's something that I think every mother should pick up. Because if I'm hearing this, then it means that if we empower our children to become independent, don't be too dependent on us, and they won't, say, Mommy is not there, so I can't achieve what I have to achieve. I can do it even though Mommy is not there. And Mommy ought to achieve what she has to achieve as well. Now, Mommy, Dean, Associate Professor.
Yes.
How do you combine that with your day-to-day life?
It is my life.
It's your life. You don't do anything else.
It is my life. I have worked hard to be a professional, to be an academic. It is not an easy path. And we do a lot of things. I mean, if you look at the portfolio of a regular academic, at a university, we are supposed to do three main things. The first is the teaching, which everyone knows about. We are also supposed to do research, contribute to knowledge, right? And then we are supposed to do service. The service can be to our own units, our university, and then we are also supposed to extend our service to our communities, nationally, and then even internationally. By the time you become a full professor, you should be internationally recognized for contributing positively to the world. Yes. And so these are the things that we are supposed to do. The teaching alone, you can imagine if you have a number of courses to teach, to prepare for each one of them, to keep up to date, because my discipline, for example, things are changing all the time. All the time. If I rely on the things that I studied when I was in university, I will be completely obsolete.
Right.
So I have to keep up. Yes. So I do that. Then with regard to the research, first of all, getting even resources to be able to do research. I'm an experimentalist. As I sit here, I don't have a lab. Research funding is very hard to get. And so it's a challenge to get students trained so that they can do the research with you, to sit down and have time to reflect on the kind of research, the kind of contribution you want to make with regard to research,
Are we working
to write
on
the
getting
papers.
a lab?
Yes, I have to do it. I have to do it, yes.
Are you going to fund it yourself, or?
I have to find research funding to be able to do that, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So when should we expect this lab to put up?
Yes. Well, we'll eventually get there. We have the university setting. The university has labs. What I have done all these years is to find out which places I can go to for the equipment that I need. I have also relied on collaborators. Some of my collaborators are outside Ghana. So if I'm able to raise enough funding or find students who are interested, sometimes I have had my students working outside with collaborators outside to use the equipment and their labs in order to do the work that needs to get done.
A question that, people, kept asking when I posted your flyer was, how did she get to love maths and science so much? Because some of us, when we were in school, we just didn't want to hear about science. We didn't want to hear about maths. We thought it was difficult. What about it made you love it so much?
First of all, I just liked studying. Let's begin with that, because in the beginning, it wasn't just about science and math. It's just enjoying the process of studying, getting new knowledge, right? We've talked about my father. My father always used to tell us that what I can do for you is to give you a good education, because the knowledge that you get from your education, that belongs to you. If I left you material things, somebody could come take that from you, and then what use is that to you? But your education, your knowledge belongs to you. I really took that seriously. I really took that seriously. So in school, I was always interested in learning new things. I found that to be exciting. Mondays were my my favorite days, because that's when the new topics would begin. Yes. So I always liked studying, and even when I went to secondary school, when we had, by Form 3, we were doing so many subjects, a lot of subjects, everything from the arts all the way to vocational, we were doing everything. I liked them all. maybe with the exception of tree. My tree was not the best. but yes, I like them all. And then when I went into the science class, I was selected to be a science student. I really enjoyed that because I saw, was an opportunity to experiment, to be able to, I found it powerful that you can predict what is going to happen if you understood enough of the fundamentals. In those days, that's what I was looking at. And then when I went to engineering school, that's when everything clicked for me. Because then I realized that we are not doing these things just for the sake of knowing so much. But really, the mathematics you talk about, it is a language. So if you're able to observe the world around you, it is possible to isolate some of the things you are observing in the world and put them down in the form of mathematical equations. Now, if you have a mathematical equation describing the world, you can manipulate it, right? So you can then contribute to making a difference. So I see it as a way of making a difference in the world, participating in creating the world of the future. That is amazing, isn't it? You don't seem convinced.
So it was never difficult for you?
Well, not that it was not difficult. Some of the subjects need practice. So, for example, physics. Physics was a challenge for me in the beginning because if you don't understand, if you take physics to be just a set of equations that you must memorize, you will lose the whole thing. But once you practice and you see how it relates to the world around you, you have a new appreciation for it. So I tell my students to hang in there. A lot of the time, you need to keep practicing, you need to keep trying, and then one day, suddenly it clicks and like, oh, so why was I struggling so much? Because it suddenly makes sense. But it takes patience and practice to get to that point, right? Patience. So I'm not going to say it's not easy. It's easy.
Okay. So it was patience.
Patience, determination,
and
practice.
So since you were so adventurous, since you always wanted to try new things, what were your aspirations? What did you want to be in future?
For much of my early life, I didn't have any aspiration. I was just living life. Even in secondary school, as I mentioned, because I was a good student, I was placed in the science class. And once you get into the science class, you're supposed to be aspiring, if you're a good science student, which I was, you're supposed to be aspiring towards being a medical doctor.
Exactly.
So that was something that was expected, not because that is what I aspired to. It was later on that I realized, but if you are living this kind of life, being a good young person, following the instructions of your elders and so on, you would think that, well, it's also my aspiration because you don't think too hard, the expectation is then, so you follow that. When I left Ghana, and I left Ghana on scholarship to go to the United World College of the Atlantic, that's when I saw that the world was actually wide open. I could have my own aspirations. And even at that point, I was still thinking about medical school because that was the comfortable thing. I had chosen my subjects based on making sure that I would qualify to enter medical school. And so that was what I was following. And then I decided I would go to the US. And you don't go usually to US to do medicine right away. You have to do pre-med.
Yes.
And that's how I discovered bioengineering. It sounded like something, I didn't know what it was, to be honest. I just read about it. It sounded like this is something you do before you go to medical school. So let me go try. And I showed up at University of Pennsylvania in bioengineering. And the amazing thing was, this was a place where we were allowed to explore. So right in the first year engineering class, we didn't know any engineering yet, but we were supposed to be solving the problems of the 21st century.
And you just love the idea.
I love the idea, the freedom to imagine, to pretend to be an engineer of the future. And I was enjoying this so much. And of course, I saw my seniors who were in medical school then, and I asked them what they were doing, and it didn't seem half as fun as what we were doing in engineering.
My goodness. Let's talk a bit about this picture.
Yes, that's me.
That's
in my
you.
first year of University of Pennsylvania. That's my dean. Yes, this picture was taken oh my goodness, the people that understand computers will know that this is a really old machine. But it was high-end in those days. I mean, I'm talking about 1980.
Oh, wow.
88, 89. That machine was high-end in those days. And I was allowed to touch it. I was allowed to do things with it. And they took this picture and they put it, I think, in the university brochure. Yeah.
Were you the only black girl in your class?
Not in the beginning. I remember first year when we met for orientation, there were more of us. There were about 60 of us. And then I remember the person giving us the orientation telling us, look to your left, look to your right. By the time you are graduating, only one of you will be left. And that's when I resolved, I am going to be the one that is left. And yes, by the time we were graduating, I was the only black.
Wow.
in my class, yes. There were 28 of us that graduated.
And you were the only black?
Yes. That was 1992.
Determination is something else.
Yes.
Let's talk about this picture as well.
Yes, these are my very best friends in the world. The one in the middle, that's Helen Liu. Helen Liu is a professor of biomedical engineering at Columbia University. She's actually a vice dean of engineering.
Okay.
Yes. I met her first year of university, and we have stayed friends. These days we've kind of slacked a bit, but we used to meet every Sunday. Even, you know, these days with Zoom and all that, we are on Zoom.
You are still meeting on Zoom?
We are still meeting every once in a while. So that's Helen. Yeah, Helen is in the US. The other one is Linu.
Okay.
Linu John, also my classmate. We were known as the Three Musketeers, by the way. Our physics professor decided to call us the Three Musketeers. So this picture was taken at Helen's wedding.
Okay.
Yes, in Philadelphia. And we're supposed to dress up in our traditional clothes, you know. Helen originally came from China, so she's wearing her Chinese outfit. Linu from India, originally. They are both Americans. So in her sari, and then me, what did I do? I went to find my big, those days, you see the
big kaba, the big sleeves.
And I wanted my freedom to be able to walk around, so I wore a skirt with it. And that was it. So that was Helen's wedding.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
You look beautiful that day.
Thank
You
you.
represented Ghana very well. And let's talk about this picture too.
Yes, yes. I think we went to New York.
Okay.
Helen and I. This is Helen and I. Yes.
Best friends, huh?
Yeah.
That's nice. It's good that you've kept the friendship. Still the Three Musketeers.
Yes, the Three Musketeers. We're in graduate school by this point. We're in graduate school.
Okay.
And then Linu actually had gone to University of Virginia. Helen and I, we stayed at University of Pennsylvania. But we got together and went to Maine. Yes.
Okay.
We went on a trip. We ran away from all of our research, all of our worries, and went and hung out in Maine. Yes, so that was really nice.
Now, I just want to know, you know, your parents thought you were going to go to medical school. How were you able to convince them?
This is one thing I have to thank my parents for, the freedom. Yes. So we were allowed to do whatever we wanted to do. It didn't matter whether you were a boy, you were a girl. Choose what you want to do. Make sure you are the best at it, or at least among the best. That was the only rule. So when I decided to stay with bioengineering, I remember my father, yes, those were the days that if you wanted to make a phone call, you would go to post office and book an appointment. My parents used to do this for me. So they went to the post office and they were on the phone with me. I was on the phone with my dad, and I remember him asking, so what did you say you are doing again? So I said, I'm doing bioengineering. Like, what is that? Are you aware that we don't have that in Ghana? And I said, okay, you don't have it in Ghana. Good. Does that mean you are not coming back? But that conversation helped to clarify something. You know, I left Ghana on a promise. I promised that I would return and make a difference. This was the requirement that we had for the United World College. When I was given that opportunity to go represent Ghana, they said, go, come back. And so this conversation, when he told me, do you know, of course, we don't have this in Ghana, it then clicked, because I'd been wondering what difference is it that I'm coming to make to Ghana. Right. That was when I thought about, okay, so that's the difference. I better study this thing well so that I can come back and make a difference by bringing it to Ghana. And that's exactly what
So you were
I
the
did.
first person to bring it to Ghana?
Our program in biomedical engineering at the University of Ghana was the first one in Ghana. And in fact, most of Africa, because there was a program, a graduate program in Egypt, and another one in South Africa. But there was nothing else on the continent in terms of biomedical engineering academic programs.
Right.
So ours was the first one. And by the way, we are celebrating our 20th anniversary.
Yes, we have to talk about it.
Yes. So when the program was approved in 2003, it was the first one. As we speak now, if you talk about graduate level training in biomedical engineering, in Ghana, our program is the only one. And we recently graduated our first PhD, first locally trained PhD in biomedical engineering in Ghana from University of Ghana.
And you are
such
proud.
a blessing.
Exactly, I was going to say.
Yes. So we are celebrating 20 years. 20 years is 20 years of engineering at the University of Ghana, Legon. I have a planning committee in place that is working really hard to make sure that we can launch the celebration, because the program was approved in 2003 and the first batch of students arrived on campus in August 2004. So we'll do the celebration until next year.
Okay, 2024. That's nice.
Yes.
So what are we to expect during the celebration?
We'll be showcasing what we have. We will launch our logo. We are trying to get an anthem together. We are going to do all kinds of programs to showcase. We'll have poster presentations. We are planning to have a conference sometime during the period so that people can come and see what we are doing and what we've been doing for 20 years.
Now, 20 long years, and you said we have only one in Ghana.
Now we have many other programs.
Okay.
Ours was the first.
Yours is the first.
Yes, but now there are several other programs.
Okay.
And I'm very happy to say
That's good to know.
Yes.
But is it only in Accra? Is it only in Accra, the programs that we are running?
Biomedical engineering?
Yes.
No, not
Okay.
at all. So we have a University of Ghana's program, of course. That was the first one. Then we have KNUST. KNUST runs a biomedical engineering program. It's in their computer engineering department.
Right.
It's a program at KNUST. It came much later. We have even a private university. We have All Nations University that runs biomedical engineering. We have Kuforidia Technical University.
Running the same program?
Biomedical engineering.
Okay.
We have Valley View University. Valley View University is also in Accra. Yes, running biomedical engineering. Which other? Academic City. Academic City recently started a really beautiful program in biomedical engineering. And I know there are other universities that are planning. So Ho Technical University is planning a new program in biomedical engineering.
Must be proud of you, especially reflecting on that conversation where he said, are you aware we don't do that in Ghana? And you did it, and you brought it to Ghana. And see how proud it is to hear you speak so much about what you've done in the last 20 years. I know he's smiling.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace.
I wish he had lived longer to see all of this.
God knows best.
Yes.
God knows best. Let's talk about your foundation.
Yes.
Tell us about it. How it all started.
Yes. So my foundation is really a solution to a problem. I am an engineer. I'm supposed to be a problem solver. Many of you have heard me complaining about the state of our science and math education and how people are basically going through our programs, even engineering, with the aim of just receiving a certificate at the end of this and then really not using it for anything. And so I talked. And in fact, I reflect on this, and it's a big concern to me. And so as a problem solver, I figured I need to do something about it. So in fact, my hashtag for the past 2 years has been less talk, more action. Okay. So this foundation, I started thinking about in about 2012. But then I've been so busy, the things that I've been doing. I've been too busy to do it. And so finally, what happened was, I don't know if you know DEXT technology. They do the science set.
Yes.
So Charles Antepim, co-founder of DEXT, I remember him booking an appointment and coming to my office to come and introduce himself, that he had heard me on some of these programs complaining about science education, that he had a solution to the problem.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I listened to him, and he introduced a science set to me. We had a couple of meetings afterwards. At that time, I shared the idea of a foundation with him. And he kept asking me from time to time, so when is the foundation? And I kept postponing, thinking that I will go on retirement first. When I have time, I'll do it. But then he impressed upon me that really I cannot keep talking, and he thinks that he has a solution. I should at least give it a try, and he would support me, he would help me, his team would help me to set up. So finally, in 2022, last year, in April, we registered the foundation. Then the hard work began. The foundation basically is looking at 4 stakeholder groups. The first is the students. We want to train up young people to be critical thinkers, problem solvers. Not just go through our systems the way they've been doing. We need to do better. We need to prepare them for the world that is coming out there, for them to be contributors to problem solving, for them to be the ones to decide what the world in the future looks like. But they can't do it alone. They can't do it in isolation. The teachers are extremely important, and many teachers are doing their best. However, you tend to do things the way you yourself were taught as a teacher, right? And so if they have gone through the system where they've just been given for science education, can you imagine science and math, a teacher comes there in the science class, the idea is to just go write things on the board for students to copy or to read out for students to copy. That doesn't make any sense. That's why it's not exciting. That's why it's not practical. And so what we are trying to do is to provide the teachers with the training and the tools that they need to change the way they are teaching, to make the science more relevant. So teachers. Then we also want industry. Why are we doing all this? When the students are problem solvers, they need to work with industry to be able to deliver on what they have been taught to do. The industries must also come and help us to teach the students so that they understand that what they are doing is relevant. So I want a closer interaction with industry. And then finally, all of us, we need to raise the level of science understanding in our communities.
We do.
Yes.
We do.
You see the fear you have of this math. We need to change that.
Especially amongst the girls.
Yes.
And that is why I asked the question of whether a girls' school will ever win National Science and Maths Quiz. Because we've seen too many boys win. It's not even happened once. It's always the boys, always the boys. And you said that they actually start them early. The girls don't take too much, they don't put too much, attention in there. It's like we get to a certain level before we select. But the boys don't do that. So it means that we have to start doing something different with the girls.
Okay, so let me address this issue of the girls. And first of all, let's even talk about why it's important for us to involve the girls and have the girls. It's not just about winning. For me, it's not about winning.
Right.
But if they are able to be participants, equal participants in this, it will help us. You see, I've talked a lot about problem solving for the future. The problems in the future are going to be complex problems. To solve complex problems, the research has shown us that we need diverse groups. We need diversity. Right now, if the people that are solving the problems are all of one type, let's say all men, we are not likely to come up with the best solution to our complex problems. And this is why, for me, it's important that we consider what the girls are doing as well, that we make the science and math inclusive so that they come on board, because when we are all working together, not that we have more boys or more girls, but we are working together and we are all represented in decision making and problem solving, we are more likely to have better solutions to our problems. This is why I encourage girls. This is why I work so hard. I go around, I talk to girls, I'm making sure that the girls are participants in this thing that we are doing. So that's the relevance of it. That is why we need to do that. But for me, it's not just about the winning, because there is a game element to it, which I told you that the girls must master. But it's not just about winning. but it is about being good enough, being interested enough to be included in the future, because this is where we're going with the future. The problem solvers of the future must include all of us.
Right. You know, we recently in Ghana, we launched, you know, the automobile plant. I've seen it, beautiful place, you know, the School of Engineering. How can, you know, the students there benefit from this sector?
Automobile.
Well,
interestingly, I don't know if you know about the University of Ghana, School of Engineering, Toyota collaboration.
I've seen that one as well. Yeah.
Yes. So, yes, I mean, this is an industry that is making inroads in our country, right? They are going to require engineers. If we train the right type of engineers, the engineers that are able to do the practical things, that are able to add value to the work of these industries, we'll be doing well. But it's not just the automobile. In fact, if you look around all of Ghana and you look at the various sectors of our economy, we need engineers everywhere. And so it is incumbent on us to provide the resources that are necessary to be able to train the next generation of engineers to be able to handle all of these things.
So far, for the ones in the system, how can they capitalize on this good initiative?
Well, the thing is, if you sit around and you have no initiative yourself, you are not proactive, you are not going to be able to benefit. So I tell my students sometimes, you know, what stops you from presenting yourself as a volunteer? First of all, study well so that you are credible when you show up at a place like that, right? You need to have studied well enough to understand the concepts and to be able to apply those concepts so that you have some skill, you have something to offer when you go. Then show up. Present yourself as someone who can help them to solve their problem. Learn enough about these industries so that when you go, you can talk meaningfully and offer the services so that they can understand that they actually need you. Make yourself relevant to these industries. So it's not sufficient to go to university and just pass through the university a certain number of years and graduate. You should be looking around you, be predicting for yourself what the future looks like in the industry you want to enter. Make sure, if possible, go and intern there, go and volunteer there. Even when they are not paying you, just to add value to yourself, just to prepare yourself for that world out there in the future.
Right, there's some messages coming in. This woman is doing great. My question is, how did she get sponsors at the start? I'm saying Samuel from Pandai. They want to know how you got sponsors. I think you spoke about
it. Is it the foundation?
Yes, I think it's the
foundation.
foundation.
I am looking for sponsorship.
You're still looking for more?
No, I have not really received much. Let me share how the foundation works. The foundation is operating through projects. The idea is to have a project that has impact on at least one of each of my 4 stakeholder groups every year. Right now, we are on the first project, and the projects are named after the Greek alphabet. So the first project is Project Alpha. And Project Alpha is in partnership with DEX Technology, the science set. So DEX has graciously donated all the science sets that we use for the training and that we give to the schools for free after they receive the training.
Right.
So that is donation in kind. The other thing is, because I have no funding whatsoever, please, I am a university professor. I hope you understand what that means. We were on strike not too long ago because of salary issues. So what has happened is I put out a call. I wanted 500 volunteers from across Ghana so that because this is supposed to have nationwide impact. And, you know, Rosalind, you'll be amazed at the goodwill that I spoke about before. Within a matter of weeks, we had 1,300 or so volunteers from all regions of Ghana.
Right.
I am not paying them.
All right.
I am not paying them. They are volunteers. Wow. But they go to schools to go and train. A lot of the work we are doing now also is done virtually online. And I am so grateful to DEX Technology, the science set people, for supporting
So
all
we
of
are
this.
looking
so
for
I
more.
want donations.
More
please.
donations,
so
please.
Sponsor a school.
Okay.
Take up a project with the ElsieKaufmann Foundation, and then we can do more.
All right. So tell Prof I love her, sir. I was her student, and I'm proud of her. This is coming from Frimpong Desmond Adai Aminiampong from Mampong Ashanti. Wow, this woman is amazing. I'm blessed to listen to you this morning. Am I permitted to name my daughter after you? My name is Obapa Jimfua West Hills. So is she permitted?
Hey, I have several young people named after me.
Your program is...
If you name your child after me, that child is going to be amazing.
Okay. Hi, your program is very impressive. I'm enjoying it straight from Tamale. It's a nice topic. I'm Richmond Oga. All right. Thank you so much for all of you who sent in your messages. Thank you. Doctor? No, Professor. Let me stick to the Professor because for a very long time we called you Doctor.
Yes.
Now it's no more Doctor. It's Professor.
I got promoted.
Professor Elsie Kaufmann, we are super grateful that you can make it here today. You don't watch television, but we've pulled you onto television. You're on television. A lot of people watch you. In fact, millions of people watch you. What's your favorite song?
Hey, goodness. I like so many things. But I'll have to go for the classical music.
Oh, classical music. Yes. I knew you'd definitely go for classical music. But thank you so much for being
Handel's
here.
Messiah.
I should have asked first so I could get this prepared before. But thank you so much for being here. And we are super proud of you. And keep doing what you're doing and keep inspiring the young ones. I love the fact that you say that we should be people who bring on the girls, all inclusive. That's the most important thing. Thank you so much for making a change in Ghana. And we are proud of you, Dr. Elsie Kaufmann. Professor Elsie Kaufmann. I've known her for Doc for a very long time, yes. So pardon me. Thank you. So your final words before you go.
Thank you so much for inviting me here, for the opportunity to talk about the things we normally talk about, and also to add that 20th anniversary, you know, the University of Ghana School of Engineering Sciences, 20 good years. Yes, and then also for the foundation, the Elsie Kaufmann Foundation. Thank you so much. For the people listening to me out there, this is a wonderful time to be alive. We have many challenges, but we are resilient as a people. What we need to do is to understand what the world out there is going to be like and prepare ourselves for it. That's why we are training problem solvers. You know, critical thinkers, problem solvers. Take your science and math seriously. These are the things that will help us to be able to live in a much better world and to contribute to solving the problems that confront us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for being here. Super grateful. So we have cues and lyrics that we are actually on Earth in Talent. It's a musical reality show right here on Joy Prime. Yes,
really?
Maybe one of these days with your classical experience, classical music experience, we might make you a guest judge. Who knows? That you are taking yourself out of, but NSMQ, you will do it wholeheartedly.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows their domain.
Yes.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back now, there's this, school of thought that oral sex actually causes throat cancer.
It's HPV, the virus.
Yes. It does?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, wow. Is it for the men or for the women?
Whatever you are doing, be careful.